Okay, so here we are now. Let's see. Intermittent starting issues with a relatively new 2017 Sprinter van. It's got 11,772 miles. I just picked this thing up at the dealership less than 2 weeks ago. Less than 24 hours later, showed up on a job site. It wouldn't start. Locked in vehicles, made me look bad. Super frustrating. Dealership convinced me that it was, well, they didn't convince me, but they tried convincing me that it was user error. They said, basically, George, one of the salespeople at Benz of Oxnard, told me that it was likely just me not holding the key long enough. He said, oh, just hold it for 2 to 3 seconds. That happens with some Mercedes, and it should start right up. I said, okay, George, if that's it, not a big deal. Something I wasn't aware of, hold it for 2 to 3 seconds and never heard of that. Okay, let's try it. I guess I won't bring it back, even though I have a 48-hour grace period. I guess I won't bring it back because you convinced me that it's something else. So, no problems for the next 4 days. Nothing. It just starts up every single time. Grace period has passed. 4 days later, I go to start it. I'm at work again. Nothing. Tried it multiple times. Nothing. Turned it off. Walked away from the car. About 3 minutes later, came back and it started right up. At that point, I decided I was taking it back to the dealership. Anyway, just to show you guys what I'm talking about here. Okay, here we are, stuck in a parking lot this time. Luckily, I'm not at work, but I'm picking up my nephew. Hi, Mickey. Luckily, I was right across the street from where the bus dropped him off. Otherwise, he'd be sitting in an empty lot while I was sitting with a brand new $44,000 Sprinter that didn't work. So, here we go. Keys in the ignition. Turn. Okay, let's get up close here. You can see bells and whistles. Okay, everything goes off. Turn the key. Nothing. This is, we're about 20 minutes in now. First time was 45 minutes. Second time was about 5 minutes, 3 to 5 minutes. So now we're 20 minutes in. Pull the key. Parking brake is on. Foot's on the pedal, even though it doesn't have to be on the pedal. Okay, key in the ignition. Bells and whistles, waiting for the glow plug. Alright, everything seems normal. Turn the key. Nothing. Turn the key, hold it for 2 seconds, 3 seconds, 4 seconds, 5 seconds, nothing. Okay? Alright. It ain't starting. So, going back to Benz of Oxnard, customer service so far has been awful. Awful. Absolutely terrible. They've basically been blowing me off. It started right off the bat. Before I even purchased it, they weren't returning my calls for some reason. It took 4 phone calls to get a hold of somebody so that I could purchase this vehicle. Now I'm wondering if that had something to do with them not calling me back. That being said, after I purchased the vehicle and after my first starting problem, up to my first starting problem, people were calling me back. And then as soon as I experienced my second starting problem, I started leaving multiple voicemails and sending multiple emails, and they started ghosting me. This is Benz of Oxnard. Basically, I was being ignored by sales department. Service department helped a little bit, but they didn't do the greatest job either. So to recap, I ended up bringing the Mercedes back in, dropping it off about 4 days after I purchased it. 4 or 5 days after I purchased it. Told them what the problem was. They said they'll take a look. Didn't sound right. They don't know what it could be, but they'll take a look and they'll see what they can figure out. At that point, started calling them daily. They weren't returning my calls. Started sending emails. They weren't returning my emails. And finally, I got a hold of their general manager, HK, general manager of Mercedes-Benz of Oxnard. And I popped in on him just a couple of days ago on, what was that, Saturday afternoon. So this is less than 2 weeks after purchasing this vehicle. They've had it for about a week or more now. And I sit down with HK. I start expressing my frustrations with the lack of communication. And he basically starts telling me, well, you know, we ran the computers multiple times. We tried starting your car multiple times. It started up every single time. There's no problem. And I said, well, but there is a problem. It's an intermittent starting problem. He said, but we did our check. There is no problem. But there is a problem. But there is no problem. I went back and forth with the general manager of Mercedes-Benz of Oxnard for probably well over an hour. Everyone there just seems, I don't know, I think I'm getting to a bigger picture, but they refuse to acknowledge that there's a problem here with this vehicle. Now, if you go online, there's multiple videos of brand new Mercedes-Benz owners coming home straight from the dealership and within a day or two experiencing these exact same problems. And you can find these videos by searching Mercedes-Benz Sprinter intermittent starting problems 2017 Sprinter. You can type in a variety of keywords and you will find people frustrated with this problem. For some reason, Mercedes is refusing to acknowledge that this is happening. So I think there's a bigger picture. But yeah, it's still not starting. We're about 20 some odd minutes in here and I'm stuck in a parking lot. So after,
forget about me.
yeah, well, I got my nephew to keep me company, luckily. So going back to Mercedes-Benz of Oxnard, the general manager there, HK, basically is trying to convince me that there's not a problem. You know, and this whole time everyone's been insinuating user error. I said, okay, HK, do me a favor. If this happens to me again, send somebody out. He verbally acknowledged it, and then I said, no, I want that in writing. And he battled me back and forth, and eventually he conceded, and he put in writing on his business card that he'll send a van out. Ironically, Mercedes-Benz is closed, so there's nobody coming out. That being said, I did have one other consolation, and I asked HK, general manager at Mercedes-Benz of Oxnard, to send out one of their service technicians, one of their experts. I wanted an expert out there to walk us through the starting procedures. I wanted to eliminate any possibility of user error on this vehicle. I was hoping it was user error. I really wanted it to be user error. That's why I requested a technician to walk us through the procedure. So they sent out a technician, and by the way, I documented this. This will be my next video that you can watch. And the technician, on his very first attempt, steps into the car. His feet are kind of side saddled. They're not touching any pedals. And he just flips the switch, completely bypassing the glow plug, and just flips it straight into starting mode. And it starts right up, but you can see me asking him, you can hear me asking him, hey, you realize you bypassed the glow plug. He's like, oh yeah, you know, well, it was already warmed up. You know, ironic that an expert would just show you the exact wrong way on his first demonstration. I don't know if maybe he was trying to demonstrate how not to, but I'm pretty sure you can tell in the video that was not the case. So anyway, it's a 5-minute long video. We did ask him to slow down and walk us through it. And, you know, everything he showed us from that point on was informative and not that complicated. So, you know, so it eliminated user error. So HK at Mercedes Benz of Oxnard, check it out. Not user error. Okay, I'm pulling the key out again. Okay, key. All right. Okay. Brake is up. Vehicle is in park. Inserting the key into the ignition. Turning the key. Okay. Waiting for the bells and whistles. Okay. Glow plug. The one remaining light is just open doors. Turning. See what happens. Nothing. Nothing. Hold it for 2, 3, 4 seconds. Nothing. So we're about 25 minutes into this now, and it's frustrating. This is, you know, this is supposed to be a reliable piece of machinery. I just invested $44,000 into this, and I got a vehicle that's not working and a dealership that is refusing to accept any kind of, just to even acknowledge that the problem exists. So this is driving me up the wall. At this point, I'm gonna start doing lots of posts on social media and on YouTube, and you know, wherever I have to go to raise awareness on this, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna make sure people know about this, and I'm gonna make sure people understand the service I'm getting from Mercedes, which has just been terrible so far. For a high-end brand, I am so disappointed. Yeah, so that's it for now. Look for my next video with the starting tutorial from the service department at Mercedes Benz of Oxnard, and you judge for yourself. But I'm not holding my breath. But this is a lemon, guaranteed. Mercedes Benz of Oxnard, you guys sold me a lemon. There we go, nothing. Stay tuned for more.